Today, I'll show you how to outline the subject of your photo, and then how to add a border to your image. Let's get started. If you'd like to follow along with me, I've left a download link for this image in the video description. To start off this video, we're going to work on adding an outline around the subject of our image. To do this, we first need to make a selection of our model. So I'm going to select the Selection Brush tool, and then I can go ahead and click and drag to make a selection. Remember that if you ever select too much, you can hold down Alt or Option on your keyboard, and then click to remove from your selection. Now, the key for this technique is to have a very smooth selection. We don't need to include all of the flyaway hairs because that will make the outline look a little strange. So I didn't include every hair in my selection, but I think that'll be just fine. At this point, go ahead and press Refine in the context toolbar. Now, to show you this a little bit better, I'm going to change the preview to black and white. If you zoom in here, you can see we have quite a few fuzzy and jagged edges. We don't want that when we're creating our outline. So I'm going to increase the smoothness. This slider will go ahead and smooth over all of those bumpy areas. However, there's a bit of a trade-off with this smooth slider. I'll go back to the overlay preview to show you that if you crank this too far, you start to lose key details of your subject and include too much of the background. So I'm going to decrease this smoothness. I think for this image, around 25 pixels looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and press Apply. So now that we have that selection made, I'm going to duplicate our selection onto its own layer. So I'll press Command or Control J to do that. Then I can press Command or Control D to deselect. So now we have our model on her own layer, and we still have this background layer separate. Because she's the only thing on this layer, we can go ahead and add our outline next. So go ahead and go to the FX icon and click on that, and then go down to where it says Outline. Click on that and check it on, and now you can go ahead and raise the radius to add an outline. You can really increase this, and you can even type in your own value if you want a very large outline. For this image, I'm just going to use an outline of around 50 pixels. Then I'm going to change the color to white. You can see that because our selection was very smooth, this outline also looks very smooth. So we've added the outline, but we can do more work to separate her from her background even more. The first thing I want to do is I'll select the background layer, and then I'm going to click on FX, and then I'm going to add a Gaussian blur. I'll go ahead and increase the radius to blur that background, and to get rid of these transparent edges, I'll click Preserve Alpha. You can go ahead and blur this background as much as you want. And you can see that as I do this, these little flyaway hairs that we didn't include now disappear. Another way to separate her from the background even more is to add some darkness to the background. I'll go to our adjustments and apply a brightness and contrast adjustment. Then I'll lower the brightness. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now, one last thing you can do to really polish off this outline is to go around and paint on the outline to fix any strange areas. For example, with this image, this hat area is a little tricky to get right in the selection. To fix that, I'm going to select our top layer and then add a new pixel layer. Now we can select the paintbrush tool, and we can go ahead and paint in white paint over that area to remove those background areas from peeking through. I have 0% hardness on my paintbrush to make sure that the edges stay nice and soft. And you can do this around the entire border if you need to, but I think in this image it really only needs it right up here. Now you can see the before and after of just cleaning up that edge. Okay, so we're done with adding an outline to our subject. So for this next part of the video, I'm going to show you how you can add a border around the outside of the image. The first thing we need to do is we need to make the photo bigger so that we have a place to put the border. To do this, I'm going to grab the crop tool, and then I'll drag outward around all of the edges. Then I'll press apply. So now you can see we have this checker print background, and all I need to do is go up here to layer and add a new fill layer that we can put underneath our subject. I'm just going to make this black, and then I'll drag it to the bottom. Uh-oh, we have a couple of problems. The first problem is that we can see the outline on the bottom. That looks a little strange. Also, I don't think the border is even on all of the sides because I just freehand dragged out each of the sides. We can fix all of these problems though. I'm going to press Command or Control Z until our picture looks back to normal. So the first thing we need to do to fix that outline from popping out the bottom is we need to combine all of these layers into a single layer. Once you do this though, you won't be able to edit the adjustments anymore, so just make sure that you like how your image looks first. Then you can right-click on any layer, and then press Merge Visible. Then I'm just going to select all the other layers, and then I'm going to delete them. So since they're all on one layer now, if I cropped out, you can see that that white border isn't there anymore. So that's exactly what we want. But to get the border to be exactly the same size on each of the sides, we actually need to use a different technique than the crop tool. So to do this, there's a little hidden feature up here. Go to Document, then Resize Canvas. This allows you to add pixels to the sides of your image to expand your document. Just make sure to turn off this little lock button. Then you can click in here, and right next to the existing size, go ahead and press +200. I'll do that to the other side as well. I want this size to expand from the center point, so I'm going to change the anchor to the center, and then I'll press Resize. Because I typed in 200 pixels, we know that each one of these sides is exactly 200 pixels, which is perfect. So now all we need to do is add a color to the background. So I'll do the same thing I did before. I'll go to Layer, and then New Fill Layer. And then I'll drag this underneath, and we can make it any color that we'd like. And there we have it. Now you know how to add outlines and borders in Affinity Photo. If you want to learn more Affinity tricks, be sure to check out my free course in the video description, where you'll learn 10 simple steps to make any photo amazing. Thanks for watching, my friends, and I'll see you in the next Affinity Revolution tutorial.